Hello! Today I'd like to do the final installment, final chapter, final piece on the Webasto Arduino diesel heater shower creation thing that we have made using a Webasto Thermotop V and a custom made board with an Arduino on it to control the burner heater itself and the pump for the shower and the temperature and all of those things as we've seen in the previous videos. This might waffle on to be quite a long video. We'll go over the board and the code on the laptop. I'll show you what bits do and what to adjust, etc. And we'll go into a bit more detail of what's connected to what and where in here. And for the key, no, you can't see, it's down too low, but the heat exchanger is now on the shower as well. It doesn't have to be this heat exchanger because this one is phenomenally fucking expensive, but any heat exchanger will provide additional heat to the water so your shower works even better. Be it a Volkswagen Charan or Peugeot Boxer or any of the, kind of nice sized heat exchangers that we can find. So I think first, while I bring you off the tripod and we can have a look at the heater and go over all the various bits and components. Come on then, come and have a look. Okay, up here we have the board, which once we've looked at here, I'll take this off of its mounting and we'll have a look at it on the bench. Right, here's the Webasto V. You'll notice it's now standing this way up. So I'm not sure if the V stands for vertical, because in all the pictures of them installed in Land Rover Discoveries, they're this way up. It is this top way, and if you take it apart, it makes sense for it to be this way up. Because in the burn chamber, there's a huge gap between the diesel injection nozzle and the actual combustion chamber. It does run on its side, but mine runs a lot better this way up. So I'm beginning to wonder that it's not V for vertical and is standing this way up. Anyway, this is the Webasto V, and normally in here, can you see all these connections that, well, there aren't any connections in them because there's nothing in there anymore. Your ECU would normally be in there. There's now nothing in there except the fan motor, which is this wire. Actually, you can just see a little bit in there. There's the fan motor, and these are the two wires that go into the fan motor. So that's the fan motor. This one here is the, hello, this thing's falling over in the workshop. This is the glow plug, and it just goes up to the board on the glow plug. This is a fuel line, funnily enough, full of diesel. This bit here is the exhaust. These are, I don't know my plumbing fitting sizes, but this is the larger of the two most common plumbing sizes in the UK. Is it 22mm? Is it 22? Is it 25? Whatever it is, it's the bigger of the two. Not sure, pipes away. That is the massively expensive heat exchanger that we've I've just badly attached it here and down to the original Webasto silencer. These actually do a really good job of quieting it down. Same as the air intake silencer. Without that, it's really quite a noisy level here. Okay, no, that's what. Yes. So on here, so this is the exhaust straight out the heater. We'll come down here. You see this bit of Captain tape. Well, there's a 100k thermistor here, which, well, this is one of all the other ones I had melted. Okay, so it was Andrew recommended we move up a stage to this. I'm sure these are glass bead type the thermistors or thermocouples. Whichever one they are, it's this. These are for a 3D printer hot end. These are the sensors that measure the temperature. So it's got heat resistant, a coating, or I think it's silicon that's on them, all the way up to here. And then I don't think this bit's heat resistant, but that doesn't matter. You keep that away from your hot exhaust, and then that comes up and attaches to the board. But we'll get back to that later. So we've got heat exchanger, water in from pump, which is just a 12-volt coolant pump, which is just down there. That's just straight in off the tank, in a pump, in heat exchanger, in, out of heat exchanger, into heater, in the burn chamber, out of the heater, and up to the shower head, which is being up there, hanging at the moment. So that's the water path. Down there is just standard 22 milliliter cubes per 1,000 ticks, standard, absolutely bog standard Chinese diesel heater fuel pump. a small quantity of these left in my bottle for testing. And that's just about it for running. Oh no, we're running from a 60-litre water tank. And, oh God, stand up, hold, oh God help me. I always forget to mention this bit, that we're using the original sensors on the Webasto. So you see there's 2 blue and 2 red wires in there. The 2 blue wires we are using for the water temperature, and they go on the board and they're taken right off the actual water temperature sensor in the Webasto. The other 2 red ones are for another overheat temperature sensor, but we're not using them at the moment. Do you want to see it running while we're here? Right, I'll plug it in and show you it running. So the input for this heater is very simple. It's just a momentary switch that you press to turn it on and press and hold to turn it off. I've got the code in this mostly squared away for what I needed to do. I'll explain more about the code when we go and look at the code in the heater, but if I press this, it should prime, fire up, and water will run out of the shower, and we'll get, and then, well, once it's hot, you get hot water out of the shower. So, without, well, let me first of all open the water tank valve. That's better. Because I'm not entirely sure that my 3D printed homemade connections onto the heat exchanger don't leak. But that's alright, it'll only leak onto our floor. So let's press and go. So just now the glow plug is glowing. I don't know if you can hear the fuel pump. It's primed it. It then blows a little bit of air in to start a flame front. And then starts burning. Is that gonna, I don't know, melt my straw there? I need that for... And what you should do now is, well, start running up to speed. If you can hear the shower in the background has started. Tank temperature is a whopping 8.8 degrees. We'll call it 9 degrees. Okay, it's now ramping up. It's doing it, so it's ramping up. Okay, faster and faster. Did I just run out of fuel? Oh, my fuel pump's changed noise. Is that an air bubble? Oh, that's air bubbles. Well, this will be exciting. Right, can I zoom in? Is that a possibility? No, too slow. It might flame out with these air bubbles. Okay, you got to see that. It totally flamed out with air bubbles. Well, this is a good test of what it does when it detects. Will it detect a flame out? Eventually. How long does it take to detect that it's stopped? It's made a lot of smoke. It's made a lot of smoke. Okay, it's finally stopped pumping fuel in. It has detected the flame has gone out. God, can you even see anymore? This is a good test. This is good actually. This is one of the few tests I hadn't done properly. Okay, I'm gonna let the smoke clear and we'll do that again. Okay, there were bubbles in the fuel because, well, I had been using the bottle for something else and taking the hose out and then put it back in again, and obviously it leaves you with an air bubble. But these Webasto Vs are very, very sensitive to air bubbles. It does say in the manual that it requires like practically bubble-free fuel for operation. And if you ever take one apart, that's because you'll see that the injection nozzle is tiny. It's like the size of a pin injection nozzle size. Right, I've brought you a bit further down lower so you can see, but no, there's a lot to see, but let's fire it up again. And it should just fire away because it knows it shut itself down, so it'll be quite happy to restart. The shower is showering. Oh, there was a little puff of backfire there, but then again, it's because it was full of diesel. So this might smoke a little bit to start with. Because it's got quite a lot of diesel to get rid of in the chamber. Can you see this? That's fucking the fog machine down here. Don't worry, this will clear. Don't worry, nobody panic. We're all good. It will quite happily go away once it's up running and then up to temperature. I want to see if I can zoom in any of the bubbles in the fuel line. Oh, there's a bubble. You can see them. See the bubbles travelling up. Whee! And in behind here. Okay. Let's run it again. I'm feeling good this time. Let's just take you for a walk. How about that? So that's running. The shower is showering. It's a good flow at the shower head. The water is warm. It's not hot, shower hot yet, but it is not up to full power yet. Stand a bit closer so you can hear it. It's relatively quiet. Okay, we're going now. I'm gonna walk round the shower. Okay, that's hot water. That is a hot shower. So how long was that? God, did MD time it? Was MD timing how hot this shower? So what will happen now is the pump will speed up the water flow to maintain this hot water. So we will always get 40 degrees, or I think it's between 40 and 42 degrees is what it's set at. The smoke's gone now as well, mostly gone, which is nice. I'm going to step over this hose now. Okay, so that's it in basic operation. That's press the button, turn it on, and you get hot water out your shower. And that is, like I say, that's hot water. We're going from 9 degrees to 40. Right, so let me show you shutting it down. It's fairly simple. Obviously the switch would be somewhere more useful. Press, hold switch. I think it's 5 seconds. 5 seconds. And then it stops. Stops pumping fuel. It stops pumping water, but it will pump it again if it detects an overheat situation in the, like that, there it goes. But it'll still keep it at the 40 degrees, so it's not like it's going to boil. It's doing its best to not make it boil. As soon as it gets to near 40, it'll turn the pump back on. What it's doing now is cooling the exhaust down. This is it, in its cool down sequence. It will run until the exhaust temperature is less than 80 degrees and then turn off. So, while we've still got water in the tank, let's run the code and have a look at that. Right, let us fire up the heater. Once I find the switch, it's fallen off. There it is, found the switch. Let us fire up the heater and we'll go through what it's doing on the screen while it's doing it. Well, I'll just give you a brief. So this WTR SP, that's the water pump speed in percent and value output to the MOSFET between 0 and 255, which is 0 and 100%. Term is the termination, if it's failed or why it's failed as a number. Ignition fail, number of times it's attempted to light. If it misses, if it gets it wrong 3 times, it gives up. Water temperature is 14 degrees at the moment, because that's what temperature is everywhere around in the workshop. I mean, exhaust temperature is 14 degrees, because that's what temperature is. Fan speed at 0%, because it's not doing anything. Fuel hertz is nothing, because it's off. Glow plugs, not glowing. And the cycle time, that's in seconds, and it's me waffling. Info is things like off, shutting down, starting, priming, firing up, speeding up, increasing fuel, decreasing fuel, etc. Right, let's press the button and get on with it. Okay, we have begun again. Starts off by clearing the chamber, putting the glow plug on, we've now missed that stage, and it's now put some fuel in, the fan's on, it's put fuel in, the glow plug's still on, this isn't its prime, it's doing this. It's now started putting fuel in and is increasing the speed of the fan up to 35. So I can see now that it's lit from where I'm sitting. Once it's finished pushing air bubbles through. Okay, the water pump is now on and running. So this here, the exhaust temperature, these two numbers, the first number is what it is, and the second number is what it has to get to before it decides it's lit. So it's now lit. So you can see it started and is now increasing the burn. So we're getting faster, and it'll get faster and faster and faster until it gets up to 100% fan speed, and the full fuel, amount, hertz, quantity, rate, that's what I'm going for. And you'll see the water temperature will increase and the water pump speed will increase to match to keep it at 40 degrees. It'll also increase and decrease the injected fuel quantity to try and keep the temperature of the water at the 40 degrees that we've set, or 39, 39 or 40. One of the two. It's a little bit smoky in here. I probably should have let that burn off all of its excess diesel the first time. Shows video of smoky workshop. We're going to let that run and actually let itself clean out. So you can see it there. No, it's gone out. It's gone out again. I must have had another air bubble. Hang on, let me just reset it quickly. Can't because I've dropped the button again. Well, dear viewer, while I was making this and fiddling about with it and doing other things, trying to get it to work properly, because of course it was working perfectly, and then I fucked about with it before I started making this film, and then it didn't quite run right properly after that. In the meantime, what I've done is shorted out the supply to the fuel pump and murdered the MOSFET, or a track on the board, or the MOSFET and a track on the board and a resistor, or something like that. But I have definitely cooked something. There was smoke, and now it won't turn on. So that's a bit of a bummer. But that doesn't matter just now, because I can still show you the code. I just could no longer run the heater to do anything else with it until I fix the MOSFET, or get new MOSFETs and desolder those ones, solder the new ones back on, and go from there. Anyway, so this is the code. This is the Arduino program itself. You can see it running. This is what you upload this code to your Arduino. Most of this, I fully admit, I do not understand. This is above my pay grade. I am just a monkey pressing buttons. Some of the bits I understand. So these bits here are the pins in the Arduino, which correspond to the ins and outs of things. This is a pump size controller that we had wanted to implement. So pump size is 22 mil, but obviously you get different size pumps, and it would have adjusted the fueling to match whichever size pump you have. But I'd recommend just getting the 22 mil pump and leaving it alone. This was an input for when I was just using the non-100K thermistor. I was just using the standard thermistor, and it obviously gives a different reading to the other one, so this one's set to true. So if you're using the 100K thermistor, that won't matter. Here's where you can tweak your fan speed at the start and fuel rate. So there's a high and a low for if it's hot, if it's cold when it's starting up. I can't really remember what Andrew said about that, but there was, I think, if the exhaust temperature is less than 20 or something like that, or more than 20 or something. Anyway, this is the initial speed of, this is what it starts up on, 2 hertz fuel. Is it 2 hertz, or is it 2 cycles, or is it 2 something? It's 2 somethings, and 35% fan speed. You can set this really high and it'll smoke a bit and start up really quickly, or you can leave it turned down and obviously it will smoke less, but it'll take a longer time to heat up. Full power is, as it says, is full power, is the fan at full power. This is where you would tweak it how much power you actually want to get out of this thing. You can get it really roasting if you want it, but the caveat of that is you'll get a bit of soot and smoke. Full power time is, this is the amount of time it takes to ramp up from 35 to 100. So I've had this all the way down at 10 seconds. It'll do it. Sometimes it's not pretty, but it will do it in 10 seconds. And high and low fuel throttling is how high above your high fuel rate it'll go. So if that's 3, it'll go all the way up to 3.5 and down to 2.5 to modulate the temperature. There's some other things in there, those bits, but here's the shower temperature bit. This is what we're looking for. So this is where you would set your shower temperature you want. 39 degrees in our case, shower minimum 37. So you can have a play with that if you want a hotter or a colder shower. I'll leave the overheat at 50, because if it ever gets to 50, it shuts down, it stops pumping, it stops putting fuel in, it stops running the thing, and just cools itself down again. And after that, it's all basically just code to control all the things. I'm not even going to pretend to know what most of them are or how they work. That would be silly for me to do. I know what that one is. I don't know what it is, but this is just the login one that displays that output on the other screen that we saw. And those other things in there, yes. And the one at the end is the Webasto one, that is the one that actually does the running of the heater and making it burn and turning it off and things like that. So all the code is available on my website and on the Bitbucket repository. It gets updated from time to time, but being a Bitbucket, like a Git thing, you can see all the previous versions. If you want to try previous versions of the code to see if they work any better on your setup, or run the newest code, or in my case, I won't run anything until I fix it. Oh, I can't believe it's a fucking no, I can believe I was that stupid, honest. So yeah, so now we'll go and have a look at the board before I destroy it, because that's the magic of video editing. Okay, here is the said board. So this bit here is the Arduino, and it's just onto header pins on the board, and it comes off. You have to solder on these header pins yourself, and these ones are for the USB to serial adapter that you use to program the board. My serial adapter's attached to the end of this wire, hopefully. Let me bring it in. One of these. USB to serial adapter, well, for programming Arduinos. And this is just in the USB connection of the laptop. You just plug it in there and you can program it either on the board or off the board. Off the board preferably, because every time you turn on every time you plug that into the Arduino, it resets. So if you're in the middle of a shower and you're testing it and you plug it in, it resets and turns off. And in the exact stage that it's at, whether it's at full burn or off, it'll just restart. Okay, right, so here's the board. Please forgive my horrendous soldering. Some of it is better than others, but it is what it is. I'm going to try and go over the components. I'm going to try and remember what they are. So we've got the 3 resistors down here. You'll notice that one is considerably larger than the rest. That is due to an error on my part of ordering the wrong wattage of resistors. Well, it's not wrong. It's just bigger than it has to be. I think, is that like a half watt? Half watt? I didn't need a half watt. That even might be a 1 watt, half watt resistor. And these must be quarter watt resistors. That one's for the exhaust temperature and the water temperature, and the switch, which is, I think that pin, these pins here, that's the exhaust, that's the water temperature, and that's the switch input into the Arduino that's no longer here. These are under the Arduino. I should mention that that's there, and those are under it. This is the 5 volt power supply. 12 volts comes in on this side from this plug here. This is the 12 volt power supply in. I'm using a 12 volt power supply. You can use your car battery or, whatever leisure batteries you've got that you're using. These, when you buy these from AliExpress or China and that, they are not outputting 5 volts. Don't make the mistake I did, that assume that because you've ordered it at 5 volts, it's going to arrive at 5, and then you give this 12, this outputs 12, this chip starts smoking, smoke comes off it, and you've killed an Arduino. This little teeny tiny screw here, well, with this board taken off, put your 12 volts in, multimeter on the output here, and then you'll turn this until you get 5 volts coming out of here. Then you can solder it onto the board. After that, there's another, oh, don't make me, I think these are 4.7k ohm resistors, those ones, or they're 100, are, the details will eventually, they might be, while you're watching this video, on the website of these components, what they are, where they are, and not what they do, but their values, etc. So there's more resistors there. These are resistors for the MOSFETs. The MOSFETs are there. These are proper international rectifier MOSFETs, I hope. That's what I paid for. That might not be what I got. This is the heatsink to spread the heat from the switching MOSFETs. Now, can you see under the MOSFETs? You see there's another 4 resistors down there. There's another 4 under the heatsink, another 4 resistors down there. And then on the output of the MOSFETs, there are these diodes down there, 4 diodes, and they're diodes. Yes, they are diodes. That's what it is for flyback, for when switching and motors and spinning, and you don't want the feedback to come up and kill your diodes. Kill your MOSFETs. The diodes get rid of that. These are, I forget the name of them, but they're just the nice solder-on PCB headers, so you make good connections. Male components are over-attached to all your wires, and you would just plug in, oh god, no, I can't remember which one's which. Don't quote me on this, but I think that's glow plugs, and water pump, blower motor, fuel pump. Let's say it's on the website which bit goes where and which wires and which plugs do the thing. I know that one's a 12 volt in because it's there by itself. So that is the board. Now I've been looking at having boards made up, but it's expensive. Well, the place that I looked at, if I got my things right, it was going to be £80 to make up one board. But if I wanted 10 boards, it was only going to be 90 odd, but it's going to be £90. Because it's the setting up, and the first setup is the most expensive part. So if you just want one, it's really expensive. But if you want 10 or 100, it's nominally more expensive, because at that point, all they're doing is throwing, PCB bits at it and running the process. But the actual setting up of the process is the expensive bit. So I haven't decided yet if I want to make like a small run, if I want to order 10, and if 10 people wanted to buy them, because then the boards would only be like £10 or £15 each for a board. And then you just have to buy all the bits yourself and build it and solder it and do all the things and program it yourself. And then the liability is on you, of the manufacturer of all yourself, and not on me of selling you a ready-made product. Should it explode, catch fire, burn your thing to the ground, scald you horribly, disfigure you for life, etc., etc., that's all on you. But that's a thought for another day. So pretty much that is the end of this series. So we've successfully made an Arduino-based Webasto shower that you plug in, turn on, you get cold water from a tank and hot water out of a shower, and it keeps the temperature that you've programmed into your Arduino. And I think that's a rather cool thing. So if you have any questions, obviously, any questions ever, like no matter what time you're watching this video at, if it's 10 years in the future, I nearly said in the past, but that would be something else. If you're watching this video in the past, please let me know of any future events that are going to happen before they happen, or something like that. I don't know how that works, but leave me a message. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, any of those things, please leave them in the comments down below, and I'll read them and try and answer them to the best of my abilities, or even better, someone in the comments that knows more about it than I do will answer the question for you, and that'll be even better, because you guys have been fucking super awesome at answering questions and suggestions and helping out and offering help. And those of you that did help, Andrew, yes, fan fucking tastic, brilliant guy. I can't really think of anything else I'm going to say, apart from I'm now going to go and dick about with this. I'm going to refill my fuel thing and set the thing at 10 seconds and see if it can fire up in 10 seconds. Ah, thanks for watching, guys.